This is my Sega Genesis, the greatest video game system ever created. 16 bits, high definition graphics, blast processing, it plays Musha, but you know what it doesn't do? It doesn't transform into a giant robot and curb stomp Autobots like Bumblebee. If only it did. If only there were a Sega Genesis that transformed into an evil Decepticon. If only. If only. If only there were an evil Sega Genesis that transformed into Megatron from the Transformers, then my life would be complete. And it seems that my life is now complete. Because my man Derek from Louisiana sent a Sega Genesis Transformer to the show. Complete with a little Sonic the Hedgehog. Join the 16-bit revolution of evil with Transforming Megatron. The core system, game cartridge included, brilliant 16-bit color graphics, built-in digital sound and stereo music synthesizer, extensive library of hit games. Sega Genesis, a video game console sold by Sega, and Transformer have encountered for a miraculous crossover. Not only is it a detailed miniature of Sega Genesis console, it fully transforms into Megatron figure. Wow. History of Sega Genesis. Did somebody forget to use the spacebar on this? Actual games cannot be played on this figure. Oh, come on! Don't disappoint me, Megatron. If the Sega Genesis transforms into Megatron, what does the Super Nintendo transform into? And don't say Optimus, because Optimus transforms into the Atari Jaguar. This is impressive. I salute whoever had this idea. I really do. Alright, let's take him out. What is Megatron's favorite Sega Genesis video game? Why, it's Truxton, of course, which he uses as a skateboard while destroying Autobots. He's got a giant laser cannon and a fist. He's a bit front heavy, so he needs to lean backwards. This is ridiculous, and I love it. I love the absurdity of Sega Genesis Megatron. Now, let's transform him into a Sega Genesis and play some Truxton. If I can find a miniature copy of Truxton, that is. Because that, as the instruction manual says, this doesn't play real Sega Genesis games. Why? As you can see, I'm not doing a very good job transforming him yet, but this thing is actually pretty tricky. It's basically just trial and error. I'm like folding everything over and pushing things in until they sort of snap together, being careful not to break it. It's getting there, though. I sort of like the angry Sega Genesis look with the arms hanging out of it. It's the Sega Genesis that punches you when you lose. This makes it look way too easy. It's not this easy. Trust me. This is a very difficult transformation. Thank you, instructions. I almost got it. Okay. I'll do the other side here, and then I think we're almost ready to play some miniature Sonic the Hedgehog. Alright, well, I'm almost there. I think Unicron is easier to transform than this. It's got all these little tabs everywhere. I probably haven't even done it right, but... Alright, let's get the side onto it. Starting to look like a little Genesis. And I've got a little controller to use to play it. Complete with 16-bit high-definition graphics. Here it is, everyone. Megatron transformed into a Sega Genesis. Wow. Just wow. This is some true blast processing of evil right here. The controller actually breaks into two parts that you can put onto his back, but when you pull this little plug out of the front, you can then plug it into your Genesis, and now you're playing with blast processing. Just plug the cartridge all the way in there. This is ridiculous. Alright, Megatron. Let's see if you can play a real game. Oh, come on. There we go. That kind of fits. I'm never going to get this thing transformed back into a robot. Thank you again, Derek from Sulphur, Louisiana. Transforming Sega Genesis Megatron is incredible. A true must-have for all Sega Genesis and Transformers fans. I haven't been able to actually figure out if it plays anything, but I'm fairly confident it does not work with the Sega CDR32X. That's unfortunate. Oh well. If anything, it can definitely transform into a Decepticon and curb stomp that irritating Bumblebee. Transforming Genesis. Highly recommended.
Buy your games and accessories through ClassicGameRoom.com. Welcome to the club. It's the Lord Carnage Club, where I thank these backers on Patreon by shouting their name in a volcano from within the zone of danger. Jeff Breyer. Jeff Breyer. Derek Langley. Derek Langley. Michael and Ariana Nelson. Michael and Ariana Nelson. Michael Fernandez. Those not named Michael Fernandez aren't Michael Fernandez. Steven Chucknick. Steven Chucknick. Al Stiver. Al Stiver. Rick DeBarros. Rick DeBarros. Jason Goy. Jason Goy. Sergio Matthias Hergert. Chip Sync Bale. Chip Sync Bale. Busy Signal. Still busy. Sean Zoltek. Sean Zoltek. Philip Strabenmuller. Phil does the dance of safety in the zone of danger. Jack Stavris. Jack Stavris. Ohad Kane.